says, ויקרבו ראשי האבות למשפחת בני גלעד בן מכיר בן מנשה ומשפחות בני יוסף. Torah says that the heads of the tribe of Menashe, which are the משפחות בני יוסף. Menashe is from Yosef. וידברו לפני משה ולפני הנשיאים. He spoke to in front of Moshe Rabbeinu and said, את אדוני ציווה השם, השם commanded you לתת את הארץ ונחלה בגורל לבני ישראל. השם commanded you to give the נחלה, the land, to בני ישראל. And also, ואדוני צווה באדוני לתת את נחלת צלופחד אחינו לבנותיו. He also, Hashem told you to give the נחלה, the land of צלופחד to his daughters. Right? We learned it in the parashot before. Hashem told you to give it to his daughter. Now, והיו לאחד מבני שבטי בני ישראל לנשים. You're going to marry one of the tribes. ונגרעה נחלתה מנחלת אבותינו. So they are going to marry somebody else, let's say, not from Menashe, from Reuven, from Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, from any shevet. And they're going to take the נחלה, the land, they're going to take it to a different shevet, so it's going to be mixed. מגורל נחלתנו יגרע. They're going to take part of our נחלה. ואם יהיה היובל לבני ישראל, אוקיי. ויצב משה בני ישראל על פי אדוני לאמור, כן מטה בני יוסף דוברים. משה רבנו came back and said, Hashem told me that בני יוסף, מטה בני יוסף, the tribe of Yosef, is talking truth. saying truth. זה הדבר אשר ציווה אדוני לבנות צלופחד לאמור. השם made a new mitzvah, new commandment. What he said? לטוב בעיניהם תהיינה לנשים. They could marry whoever they want, but אך למשפחת מטה אביהם תהיינה לנשים. They must marry somebody from their own tribe. ולא תסתוב נחלה לבני ישראל ממטה אל מטה. You cannot transfer, you cannot take away נחלה from one shevet to another shevet. טוב? כי איש בנחלת מטה אבותיו ידבקו בני ישראל. לכל בת יורשת נחלה, any girl, daughter, that inherits נחלה, and then she has to marry only from her own tribe. למען ירשו בני ישראל איש נחלת אבותיו. ולא תסתוב נחלה ממטה למטה אחר. So נחלה cannot go from one tribe to another tribe. כי איש בנחלתו ידבקו מתנות בבני. Every tribe has to connect to his own land. כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה, כן עשו בנות צלופחד. ובנות צלופחד listen, and they got married to their own shevet. לבני דודיהן לנשים. They married the cousins. What do we learn from this? Yeah. What could we learn from this whole story? What? אחדות? Why אחדות? the opposite of Achdut.
It's not of it's separate.
The opposite of Achdut. Love, why? Because they're supposed to be love, unity. Huh? What do you care if the Nahala goes from you Shevet to another Shevet? It's all Jewish. We're all one. No. This is ours. Should not go. If he's going to marry somebody else, this piece of land belongs to our Shevet, our tribe Menashe. Now it's going to be here. Somebody from Reuven. Oy, oy, oy.
חצי שבט אומר את זה? Only half a tribe said?
בני גלעד. צלפחד היה מגלעד. בני מחיר, בני גלעד.
זה חצי שבט ממש.
In the Sefer Tiferet Shlomo, he says another question. Also, the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh asked this question. He said, there's a repetition over here. He repeats himself twice. The halacha that you cannot take a nachala from one tribe to another tribe. He says it twice. He says, right? ויצב משה, זה הדבר שציווה השם לא צריך לאמור, לא תסתוב נחלה לבני ישראל ממטה אל מטה. כי איש בנחלת מטה אבותיו ידבקו בני ישראל. So one pasuk Zayin, says that Moshe Rabbeinu said, cannot take נחלה from one tribe to another tribe. Said, comes pasuk Tet, ולא תסתוב נחלה ממטה למטה אחר. כי איש בנחלתו ידבקו במטות בני ישראל. It's almost the same words. There's one difference. It says here, ולא תסתוב נחלה ממטה למטה אחר. Before it says, לא תסתוב נחלה ממטה אל מטה. Here, it says, ולא תסתוב נחלה ממטה אל מטה אחר. What's the difference? לא תסתוב נחלה ממטה למטה, from one tribe to another tribe, או ממטה אל מטה אחר.
מה שאומר בראשון שגם אותו מטה בסוף.
ממטה אל מטה. Another thing we could see here, that the Torah keeps saying that this is the Bnei Yosef. ויקרבו ראשי אבות המשפחת בני גלעד בן מחיר בן מנשה ממשפחות בני יוסף. And also, later it says that ויצב משה בני ישראל על פי אדוני לאמור, כן מטה בני יוסף דוברים. not בני מנשה, בני יוסף. Why mention Yosef over here so many times? We know now, in these days, בין המצרים, it's a special time. For what purpose? What's the purpose of these days? You know, it says in Tisha B'Av, we don't say Tachanun. We say Yishe. It's called Moed. קרא עליי מועד, לשבור בחוריי. It's called a holiday. מועד. Like a יום טוב. How could it be? מועד. This is מועד.
No party, we're fasting.
Fasting. So, we find that in purpose life, in person life, there's two types of mu'adim, two types of good days, if you could say. Of course, a good day when a person is happy and has a good mazal is a happy day. Of course. He has a child, he gets married, he has bar mitzvah, I don't know, this is good days. There is also a good day, in a way, when a person stops from his life, stops, he takes a break from life, right? And sits and alone and thinks about his situation, about his matzav in his world. That's a moed. A person takes a time of vacation, if you could call it, for itbodedut. Itbodedut is between you and God. You sit, and this is a time, like for example today, a person has problems, I don't know what, different issues. What does he do? He goes to a psychologist. So he goes to him, he sits with him,
He talks.
and he tells him to relax and start thinking and talking to himself and taking out certain things, and it makes him remember bad things that happened to him in the past when he was a child and everything. It makes him cry and makes him talk, whatever. Then he feels better. Comes out, he gives him $400. He made him cry for 2 hours. He reminded him all the bad days that he had with his father, with his, I don't know, wife, I don't know what. He reminded him his childhood, with the teachers, this one did this to him, this one did that to him. He starts crying and that, and he gives him $400.
Wow.
Why? Because he took time for himself to rethink his life. What's bothering me? Why do I have problems? In a way, even thinking about bad things, of course, because we want to fix it, it makes us better people. We could do tshuva. So when we take time to do tshuva, it's a day of connection with Hashem. A day of connection with Hashem is ma'ed. When you take for yourself time to connect with Hashem, this is a holiday. So Tisha B'Av is a very, very great holiday. It's like Yom Kippur. There's many things in Tisha B'Av that it's just like Yom Kippur, right? It starts from the night, and there's 5 things: you don't eat, you don't drink, you can't wear shoes, you can have relations, and certain. You see that, and we see that the people who the Chachamim say, right, the people who mourn and cry for Yerushalayim, this is the people who are going to see the redemption and see the new ירושלים. שישו איתם משוש, כל המתאבלים עליה. Only the people who mourn on Yerushalayim, they're going to be happy about it. So, we need to take time from our life, which is running, to take time to be able to be open-minded, to think about Yerushalayim, to think about Beit Malkiel, to think about Eretz Israel, and ask for it, want it. The Arizal says, I think we mentioned yesterday, the Arizal says, when a person reaches a level that he wants Yerushalayim, he wants Kedusha, that's showing that he's starting to live, he's starting to be Jewish. He's becoming close to Hashem. You know, they say a story about a couple that they lived in like a tent or something. They lived like in a box. And one night, the wife wakes up and tells the husband, "Do you see? Do you see?" He says, "What do I see?" He opens his eyes. He says, "Oh, I see the stars. So many stars. So what do you see? Oh, galaxies and this. God is so big. Look at this. Look at the sky. Look at this. Look at the moon. And on he goes about what does he see. And then his wife tells him, wake up, my husband. What? Don't you see that they stole the tent? If you could see the stars, right? It means we're sleeping outside. Somebody stole our tent. We're sleeping on the floor. Finish it. They took everything. Sometimes our life is a couple, husband and wife. They lived in a tent. And one night, they wake up. His wife wakes up, the husband says, do you see what I see? He wakes up, wow, beautiful. I see the stars, I see the moon. And he starts praising the moon and the stars. And his wife tells him, wake up, my husband. If you could see the stars and the moon, it means there's no tent. They stole the tent. We're sleeping outside. They stole our house. What does it mean? If we're going to look good about our life, we're going to realize that we don't have Beit Malkiel. But some people, they see everything, but they don't see that they stole the tent. They don't realize what we're missing, because they didn't learn about it. They don't know what it is. They don't know what real life is. Now, this parasha over here shows you. These people came, the children of Yosef. They call children of Yosef. Why Yosef? Why not Menashe? Why they call them children of Yosef? Chachamim say about Benot Tzlofchad also, they were called Bnei Yosef, Benot Yosef. Why? Because they have the same character of Yosef. What's the character of Yosef? Yosef חיבב את הארץ. Yosef loved Eretz Israel. How do we know? A few things. One of them is that he asked to be buried in Eretz Israel. ועליתם את עצמותיי מזה איתכם. He has to be buried in Eretz Israel. That's how you see that even though he was a king of Mitzrayim, right? He was a big shot of Mitzrayim. He didn't care for Mitzrayim. His prayers was one thing, to come back to Eretz Israel. Even though in Mitzrayim they would give him a lot of respect and bury him and pyramids and I don't know, make him like a god who knows what they do, you know. How they call them, mammets. Mummy. They give a lot of respect in Mitzrayim to the dead people. They bury them with gold and everything. It could be like an idol. He doesn't want. He knows what the real thing is. To be buried in Hebron or to be buried in Shechem. To be buried in a holy land, even though nobody's going to know him. He's going to be buried among. Nobody knows Yosef, a great leader in Eretz Israel. He cares for Eretz Israel. He knows what holiness is, not the nonsense of Mitzrayim. So he had the zchut to have grandchildren like Benot Tzlofchad and Bnei Menashe, that they fought for the land. The daughters of Tzlofchad came to Moshe and fought, we want the land in Eretz Israel. Why? You're going to get married and get it from your husband. What's the difference? Why you need the land? No. Our father deserves a piece of land because he came out of Mitzrayim and this piece of land we want to be attached to. We don't want to give it up. Even though in those times everybody wanted to go back to Mitzrayim, everybody says, let's go back to Mitzrayim. They didn't. In the same time that everybody was running back to Mitzrayim, Rashi says, they were asking for a piece of land in Eretz Yisrael. That's how you know they were Bnei Yosef. And here too, the reason that they came and complained, how our land is going to be split to a different Shevet. It's not because they hate another Shevet. It's because they love Eretz Yisrael. And they know that every Shevet, right? Every Shevet is supposed to have from Shamayim, like it says from the Goral, lottery. Every piece of land came from Hashem. This belonged to Reuven, this Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. And that's why, if it's from Hashem, the land is from Hashem, it means this is your job in life. This is your life, to be here. You cannot give it up to somebody else. What did Hashem say? Hashem says, in 2 times. When Bnot Tzlopcha spoke, and when they spoke, Hashem says, Ken Bnot Tzlopcha doverot. Ken Bnei Yosef doverim. What does it mean? He's saying the truth. So give another mitzvah in the Torah. There's 2 mitzvot over here in Torah. That people made up. People ask, and Hashem said, yeah, this is it. This is the mitzvah. We know we have Taryag mitzvot. Taryag mitzvot is from Hashem. You can't add mitzvot. Just like our body, Taryag Evarim. But there's here people who came to Hashem and asked for something, and Hashem says, this is it. This is the mitzvah. What's the mitzvah? If a person doesn't have boys, has only girls, they inherit the land. Another halakha, they have to marry their own shevet. But why this mitzvot came out from the people's mouth and not from Hashem? Hashem had to come and say, yes, you're right. Why? These 2 mitzvot, supposed to be from Hashem. Why is it coming like this?
They won.
Because it shows you that in order to have Eretz Yisrael, to have connection with Eretz Yisrael, to have the land of Eretz Yisrael, you need to want it. You have to ask for it. It doesn't come from Shamayim. It comes from here. We have to show how much we love it, how much we want it. We don't want to give it up. And this is how you make this mitzvot happen. And this is what is all about these days. These days is time that we ask for Eretz Yisrael. It's time that we ask for Yerushalayim, Beit HaMikdash. If we don't ask for it, it won't come. It won't happen. As the Pasuk said, the Gemara brings in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, Sukkah, ציון היא דורש אין לה. בכלל דבעיה דרישה. In order to bring the Beit HaMikdash, we have to want it, to ask for it. But the problem is, people are sitting, and they're looking, they see the stars and the moon, and they see everything. It says, everything is perfect. They don't realize what they're missing. So they don't ask for it. Here it says, ולא תסתוב נחלה ממטה אל מטה, and then it says, ולא תסתוב נחלה ממטה אל מטה אחר. Says the Tiferet Shlomo. When we ask, it's just like if a person, let's say, has a brother, 2 brothers, Chaz v'Shalom, the father died, and they have to split the Yerusha between the 2 brothers. They have to split it. So where they go? They go take a lawyer, take this, and they fight. They want to have, half and half, right? Why? because they want to have their fathers, so they fight for it. Here too, we have to fight because we want this. This belongs to me. This belongs to us. Hashem wants to see that we fight for Eretz Israel. But if we don't fight, what's going to happen? It goes from one mate to another mate, and then it goes from one mate to mate aher. What's aher? First it says mate to mate, and then it's mate to mate aher. Not Jewish. Exactly. When we give it up, when we don't care for it, it goes from one mate to mate aher. Aher is Ishmael. Aher is Esav. It's also came out from the Jewish people. Ishmael came from Abraham. Esav came from Yitzhak. Hashem says, if you are going to fight for my land, just like a child wants his Yerusha, his father talit, he wants his father's tefillin, you fight for it. So, okay, so you're going to get it. But if you give it up, you don't care for it, it's going to go to Mate Aher. Mate Aher is the Goyim. And when we see that Eretz Israel is, Yerushalayim is split between Jewish people and Goyim, half Yerushalayim is for Jewish people, half Yerushalayim is Arabs and everything. And they're fighting for it. And they're getting it. The Goyim wants to give it to them in certain places. It's all showing us that we are not asking for it correctly. If we would ask for it, Hashem will give it to us, just like happened here. But you have to be Bnei Yosef. You have to follow Yosef. Yosef asked for Eretz Israel, Hashem give it to him. The problem with us is we don't see why we need it, what's missing. Right? We live here, everything is nice. What do we miss? We don't see the problem. So in order to really make Tisha B'Av a moed, to make Tisha B'Av a good day, like a holiday, it's only when we take time to be alone with Hashem and try to work it out, to understand what we're missing and what do we want from our life. And then, Hashem will get it.